So, Kat, tell us what it was like where you grew up in Los Angeles and Hollywood. What kind of neighborhood was it?
Oh my God, it was awesome. Let's see, we started out, oh my gosh. Well, let's just go a little further than when I was really tiny. A little further. Let's see, I lived near my favorite restaurant called El Coyote. I went there practically every single day in the summer. I remember at a very, very early age that I just felt so lucky to be living in Hollywood. And I grew up watching the old black and whites, films, that is. And I loved Shirley Temple. Mm-hmm. I learned how to tap dance from Shirley Temple just by watching her, and I don't even think we had a TV guide when I was that little, so by chance, if I'd catch a Shirley Temple movie, I would watch, I would study, and I remember I loved Shirley Temple so much, I begged my mother to let me get a perm, and I turned out looking like Annie, no ringlets, and I remember I put my head actually in the toilet. I don't know. I think there was something wrong with our sink, and I had to put my head in the toilet to get that kink out of my head. It was horrible. I was so young. I didn't understand how gross that was, but it was clean. It was clean. Anyway, I understand Farrakhan, no, it wasn't Farrakhan. Malcolm X did the same thing. He had gotten some sort of bad treatment on his head.
Yes, well, he had a lye treatment because back then African Americans and Hispanics used lye to straighten their hair, and it burned his head.
It was a thing.
It's
a thing to do.
Yeah, the thing to do. Stick your head in the toilet.
Anyway, I went off track a little bit, but anyway, I knew that I wanted to be in front of the camera. I wanted to be an entertainer. I saw Shirley Temple and just was crazy about her. And then all of the glitz and the glamour of the 1920s and 30s, so the golden age of Hollywood and the jazz age in Paris. Even as a little tiny girl, I used to do faux French accent. And my mother would really think I was speaking French, it's just like I was very much into this whole thing.
I went through that phase too.
Yeah, well, I never got rid of it, but I loved being around the studios. I used to hang out near the studios. I actually met Bob Hope and a whole other slew of celebrities, and we always lived around the studios, and I took dance and acting and all that, and I just felt like I was the luckiest girl in the world to live right in the center of Hollywood.
What kind of games and friends did you have growing up?
Games?
What kind of games did you play?
Spin the bottle.
We did that.
Of course.
That was a lot of fun.
Of course we did.
What friends did you have any one that you were close to or anything growing up?
Such a good friend. Her name was Mandra. We were like sisters. I have a brother, never had a sister, but she was my sister as far as I was concerned. And I met her in grammar school.
Oh.
And it was just instantaneous. And she was a phenomenal artist, still is. And there was just a really deep connection there. Yeah. We remained friends for many, many years.
Can you tell us a little bit about bullying?
Okay, I had my share. The first time I ever experienced it was I was in junior high, and we were playing volleyball. And I was quite a tomboy. And I was pretty good at sports. Anyways, we were playing volleyball, and I jump up and I go to spike the ball, and I hit this girl smack in the face.
Oh.
And I know that how much that hurts. Well, she looked at me, and she just thought I did it on purpose. And she comes up to me, and she's going, I'm not going to cuss.
But
it was filthy. And it's getting harder and harder, and I'm thinking,
Hurts.
I've never fought before, except for my brother. We would duke it out on each other's shoulders. We get black and blue. That was the extent of our fighting. And I thought, I've got to do something real quick. And what came to my mind was I had just seen a Jerry Lewis picture, a film, and in it, he was just about to be killed by this mega monster of a man. And he starts wigging out, just going crazy. So I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to freak out on this person. And so she just shoved me for the last time. She said she was going to kill me. And all of a sudden, I just got enraged and I'm shaking. I said, you blankety blank, don't you dare, don't you even try it. I'm going to kill you. And I went, ha, yeah, ha, ah! She said, girl, we're good. We're good. And she never talked to me again. She never bothered me again.
Oh, gosh.
That'll do it. That kind of, man, just yeah.
Yeah, and it's worked for me a couple of other times. And also the best thing too, I had a girl that was bothering me. I wouldn't say bullying, but always picking on me. And somehow I got it in my head. There was a guy that she liked very much that was paying attention to me. And then he was after somebody else in school, and she always tried to get my goat. And she came up to me. Every time she'd see me, she goes, so how's Bob? Don't you miss Bob? And be like, well, I don't really care. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. So one day I was with my friend, and I saw the girl coming up, and I said, watch. As soon as she comes up, she's going to mention Bob. So let's just laugh. So she came up, and she started going at it, and we were just laughing and laughing and laughing. And she was so embarrassed she never bothered me again. So I've used that in so many ways. I was in Israel with an uncle, and we went to a Bedouin, little Bedouin, I forgot.
Like village?
Thank you, village. It was like not a town, it was a village. And and he was a camel trader, and he was friends with all of the Arabs. And so we were standing there, and all of a sudden, a bunch of little boys came up, and he was a funny looking guy. He had huge ears and earlobes and just a really funny looking guy. Anyway, the kids came up and they started saying, I didn't know what they were saying, but I knew it was bad because he was very embarrassed, and they're laughing at him. And all of a sudden, I remembered back in school about the laughing thing. And so I went like this. And I looked at their genitals and I pointed at them. La kamalahukapa hasahia. And they looked down, they covered their treasures and went running up. And I'm sure they thought they were falling off by the end of the day. It was just remarkable. I've gotten out of sticky situations like that. Thank God. But yeah, it was pretty
Embracing.
Yes.
Reggie,
you had one, right? You had a bully?
I did have a bully, yeah. When I was in elementary school. And his name, well, I won't get into his name.
Yeah, no names.
Because we later became, closer friends, but the only way that happened was, he bullied a lot of people in the class, but that's what bullies do.
Yes.
But he got to me, and I just went no. And he didn't, of course, like that. And I said, I don't care, And he, decided he wanted to just, push me around and stuff. And I just jumped him. I just went, no, you're not going to do that. You're not doing that. You're not invading my space. You're not, get away from me. And he kept doing it. And I just jumped him. I jumped him so hard I knocked him to the ground. And yeah. And I jumped on top of him. And I just started pounding him, in the face and the chest and stuff. And yeah, I was just going nuts. It's not like I was a real fighter or anything, but I was just defending myself. And I had the best of him. All of a sudden, I felt somebody grab the back of my shirt and pick me up off the ground, off of my old, who became a friend, and stuck me on the ground, and it turned out to be our teacher. And he wasn't like a big guy, but he was strong in character and strong in body. Obviously, of course, we weren't that big. But,
there was elementary
we
school.
Thought we were.
Elementary school.
Huh?
Was that elementary?
Yeah, that was elementary school. That was like 4th grade. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think I ever got in a fight after that. Seriously, that was kind of it. And I think maybe you have to run into that once in your life,
Yeah, and then you know.
And then it's
Take
like.
care of yourself.
Yeah.
So, Kat, who is the most influential women in your youth and why?
Wow. Well, you can be influenced in many ways, right? And I feel like I'm going to start off with my mother first. She was immensely talented in music and in dance. And you learn from your parents, and sometimes what you learn is what not to do. And so she was so talented, but she never followed her dreams, and there was always this underlying sadness that you could see that she was not fulfilled. You could see it in her eyes. It was always there. And so I remember at a very early age thinking, I don't want that to happen to me. And so that's what I learned. I learned, to take care of myself and to really go after the things that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, I wouldn't say a jealousy, but there was an angst as I started to pursue my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
But I understood from a very early age why,
where
there
it came
wasn't
from.
that support
Right.
that I so wanted, that every child wants. But yeah.
No, I think that's great to know, to have you speak out about, because women in the back in those days were not, they weren't thought of as independent, strong
Right.
human beings,
Right.
and they had to be this way or that way. And the man had to be in charge, or men were in charge.
Well, your mother was a beautician.
Yeah, she was.
And then she ran a beauty salon out of her house.
Yeah.
Well, it started out as a brick and mortar, and then she went to her house.
And a bit out of the house, but no, she was very strong. My mom, because she did have that profession. She was really good at it too. So. And I think what's interesting is, being a hairdresser that's being artistic as well.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe that's where I just got all my artistic urges and wanting to, be a singer, an actor, and then she was so encouraging. I was in this group called the Young Americans when I was in high school, and we did stuff like we did the Bing Crosby show.
That's great.
We did the Hollywood Palace with George Burns.
I think I saw that. Wasn't that on TV?
Yeah, it was amazing.
I think I've seen it on YouTube.
So,
I was I didn't know Reggie was.
The thing we were talking about earlier with Bill about how Don brought these amazing women to the set that have these enormous talents and disciplines, and they're so trained that it brings a certain three-dimensional quality because they have this enormous training behind them. Can you tell us what it was like about the discipline that it took to study under Michael Shirtliff and at the esteemed Roland Dupree Dance Academy?
Oh, you did your homework, girl. Wow. Okay. First came Roland Dupree Dance Academy. I wanted to go to dance since the Shirley Temple days. I was such a little girl, and I wanted to go to dance so bad. And my mother didn't drive. My father was.
Did you have to audition?
No. But I had to audition for Michael Shirtliff for the scene study workshop.
He was tough.
Ooh, he was tough. But going back to dance, my mother didn't drive, and so she said, "When you can drive yourself, you can take dance." Well, that's pretty old to start dance at 16.
Right.
But I did it, and it was really super amazing. It gave me such confidence because I always loved to dance, and then, to be studying under Dupree and,
I relate. I was 14.
What?
I was 14. So I understand.
Yes.
Dupree was he was very well received, and I mean people killed to get into his his studies.
Yeah. So,
how hard was it being a Dupree kid?
Well, he was hard on me because he said, you're 16, you're supposed to start at 6, and I told him my story, and he goes, all right, he goes, I'm going to work you hard. And he did. I don't know, it was everything to me but I always had this sadness because I when you learn younger, your body is much more flexible, and I had to work really, really hard for it, but it brought to me all these other gigs, and then I always wanted to act as well, and so that's what led me to studying with Michael Shirtliff, who was amazing. He actually wrote the book on audition. Yep.
It was called Audition.
How to audition.
Auditions.
Yes.
How to audition.
And he always talked basically, it was about the moment before. Before you actually do the scene, you think about what happened the moment before. And I had to audition for that, as a matter of fact. And that was a great audition. My audition was with an ex-boyfriend of mine, and we did Taming of the Shrew, Taming of the Shrew. And I remember he let out this huge laugh, which felt so good to me. He didn't want me to use an English accent, which it was a bummer to me because I felt like I did that very well. And it was hard to do Shakespeare, any kind of Shakespeare, without an accent, if that's the way you're used to it. But I remember the scene at one point, I say, "What is your crest?" I said, and then I looked at his genitalia area, and I said, "What is your crest? A coxcomb or a combless cock?" So, and he his ass off, and he goes, "You're in. You're in."